All right, let's get to the Flames, the team that has not been around for a while. The big question I'm curious about here, Heidi and Devin, from the Flames perspective, we have not heard a decision on the coach yet.
Yeah, and I thought that there was a tweet that went out that made it sound like they were going to make a decision within a week or so, and then it never happened. So it's been like, I know I personally haven't been on Twitter for like the past week, and I'm kind of not. I haven't been spending nearly as much time there as I normally would, but like I've just seen nothing in news of the Flames in general, which is a little frustrating, but.
Yeah, it sounds like Brad Treliving was on the morning show, not this past week, but the week before that, saying by Friday, and this was the Tuesday 2 weeks ago, that they would probably have a decision within the next couple of days, and we've heard nothing. And to me, that doesn't sound good for Jeff Ward. I feel like they were potentially going to go with Ward, just from my gut feeling. But I thought obviously there's been something's happened within the past a week and a half for Treliving to pause and hesitate, so that potentially they could be doing more interviews. But the farther that this goes on without having a head coach, the less chance I think that Jeff Ward will be back.
He shouldn't be back, in my opinion, though.
Should not?
No.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm on that train. I'm wondering, do you think that the handling of the Talbot-Riddick situation in Game 6 changed anything in Treliving's mind?
Potentially. There's a couple things that kind of raised a bit of a red flag there. With as far as line combinations throughout the playoffs, so that definitely it could be up there for sure, and potentially talking with the leadership group there of Gio, Tkachuk, and Backlund. I think they have a big say in what they do as well. Just giving what they thought of Jeff Ward and how he deployed his units there.
Yeah. So. I'm kind of with Devin in thinking that I suspect we're going to have a new coach here. And for the love of God, Calgary, Brad, Mr. Treliving, do we call him Mr. Treliving? Tree. Let's call him Tree. Tree, listen, I need you to hear this. If you're anything that I say that is important to you, please, for the love of God, not Mike Babcock. Please.
I would literally lose my mind and reconsider watching the Flames, I think.
That would be a PR disaster.
They can't do that after getting rid of Bill Peters and then just bringing in somebody problematic again. Like,
yeah, if they brought Babcock in, that's a terrible decision. Babcock needs a little bit more time out of the NHL just to get everything cooler heads will prevail, and he can come back and reinvent himself. But Brad, if you do that, you've lost the entire faith of probably the majority of the fans,
especially after what he talked about after letting that agreement of letting Peters go. Bringing in Babcock would just be such a terrible thing to do. But at the same time, do you think that the Flames will actually spend money on a coach? Like, do you see a Laviolette or a Gallant coming here? Those are the two big names.
Maybe. I'm not 100% sure, but I could see them doing. They have to do something. So because I agree, I don't see them bringing Ward back. And as Devin said, with the more time that is going by, it means that they're doing a little bit more. They're doing a little bit more thinking on it and maybe doing some more interviews. So yeah, you never know. I feel like I just don't know enough about coaches and how all this stuff works to really form an absolute opinion. But all I know is I'm 90% sure that it's not going to be Jeff Ward.
As far as paying for a big name coach, I'm not sure how deep or committed the Flames ownership is as far as like their willingness to spend, because coaches are not on the same sort of system as players are as far as fitting under a salary cap. Like it depends on how much the organization has to be able to spend. So that really depends.
Yeah, Mike Babcock tried to set a new standard for coaches, and that was before we had flat cap. And I mean, without even having a flat cap, the economics of each owner has more than just a hockey team. They have different industries that they're involved in, and the economy right now cannot sustain paying somebody more or paying a coach more than they would probably get on without having COVID happen. So, I mean, Brian Burke came out and said that when he was with Calgary, he had no the ownership did not give him any structure towards paying a coach, and who knows what that means, because Brian Burke, he has proven to back the people that his players, his coaches, everybody. So who knows if that's just putting a blanket over top of it and saying nothing to see here when there is. So who really knows what Flames ownership is going to do? But if they're going to be successful, they need to pay for one of those top three coaches of Gallant, Laviolette, and
Boudreaux. I forgot about him too.
Boudreaux, thank you. Yeah, that's who I was thinking of.
About Uncle Bruce there.
Yeah.
I was just doing some quick research there, looking at who are the assistant coaches, specifically on the Islanders and Tampa, in terms of potential to get the at least a call and interview with the Flames. And two names popped out to me: and Lane Lambert and Todd Richards. Both have been around the block as assistant coaches a long time, and Todd Richards has had a couple goes at being a head coach. So I wonder if they're waiting for them to one of them or both of them to become available for interviews at this point before making a decision. But they're gonna have to make a decision quick here, because they're gonna have to start planning for next season as quickly as possible. We're less than a week away from not a week, less than a month away from UFA. And you're going to want to be have a good idea on what your coach type of player your coach is and type of system your coach is wanting to deploy to be able to attract free agents come October 9th. So they're definitely going to have to make a decision within the next 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
And the sooner the better, because you're going to have other teams that are going to be wanting those top three coaches, and you want to be on top of that and not have to settle for another coach. And then Treeland's going to come out and it's like, yes, this is the guy that we wanted, blah, 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 do the whole media thing of, this is the guy that we wanted, when truthfully we know that he wanted one of those top three.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other big issue is through reports, whether they're true or not, is the Flames are being linked, and the Oilers also are being linked to some of the bigger goalie names that are not the UFAs, but in trade. We've heard Freddie Anderson's name come up. We've heard Matt Murray's name come up. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear Marc-Andre Fleury's name come up here soon when that season's done, because if you're signing Robin Leonard for 5, you're probably going to let Fleury walk.
Darcy Kemper as well.
Darcy Kemper. Are any of those 4 more interesting than what the Flames have? Or would you just run with what the Flames have, depending on what you have to give up for a Freddie Anderson or a Heidi?
Just trying to think. The idea of Fleury is interesting. That would be something that would be like, I still think that he's a good goalie, and he would be good for the Flames. Murray, I don't know too much about, other than the fact that he was the one that Pittsburgh kept instead of Fleury, right? So, and Yeah, I just, in terms of the Flames, like, I just want there to be, like, a more, as I said, more like that top 5-ish goalie with a reliable backup. I'm kind of getting sick of this 1A, 1B situation going on with the Flames, to be honest, because it doesn't seem to be working with them, and just every year we just play goalie roulette and just pick up a new guy for a year or two, and then it doesn't seem to work out. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I like Fleury. Like, that would be an interesting thing. I just don't know what we would need to get him.
Yeah, all those goalies sound good to me. I mean, Matt Murray. So Kevin Woodley, Sean's goalie guru friend guy buddy.
Kevin and I are buddies too. So you know.
Kevin, I'm sorry, I screwed up there.
Well, like, he's probably closer than Sean, but we're buddies too.
My apologies, Kevin.
Here,
I'm sorry.
I'm like here, you know.
He was on with Ryan Pinder in the 9, talking about Matt Murray and how he needs to do a little bit different than he has been positionally for the past 2 years. And Matt Murray, he says that Murray's working on it just to be better in that sense. And it's crazy how within 2 years the game has changed so much that Matt Murray has to change his style from being two Stanley Cup goalie, 2 Stanley Cups. And I feel like with potentially getting Murray, you're going to have to go to arbitration with him. And who knows what the arbitrator is going to be ruling there. And it could be $5 million or $6 million. And right now he's not that type of goalie. Fleury would be interesting. I think Fleury would be actually a good tandem piece going forward. But once again, what are you giving up? And there's been a lot of talk about Darcy Kemper from Elliot Friedman saying that we are are talking to Darcy Kemper. Now, Arizona is going to be wanting a lot for Kuemper. The only problem with that is that Kuemper only has 2 years left and potentially could walk, and giving up a first rounder and a prospect and potentially a piece off, like a good piece off your roster is too much for me. So, I mean, ideally, yeah, any of those goalies would be nice. But I feel like it could be too much money or too much. You have to give up too much to let that happen. Now, with saying that, though, with the goalie market being the way that it is for the UFAs, could be a blessing for a goalie trade because they're not going to get a lot for those goalies. So, it'll be really interesting to see how Brad Treliving goes about doing that. But once again, if you look at the big picture, the past 2 years haven't been a goalie issue for us in the playoffs. It's been a player issue. So, to me, looking at those goalies, you can get a UFA goalie and have a good tandem with Riddick and give him another shot. And if Riddick doesn't do well, then you run with that other goalie. And I feel like that top tier of UFA goalies with Greiss, potentially Khudobin might be asking a lot considering he's in the conference finals right now. But I feel like for Brad Treliving, you need to be looking elsewhere to improve your team through trade. And there has been talks with potentially Oliver Ekman-Larsson out of Arizona as well. And that'd be an interesting trade. So once again, depending on if there's some salary retention there, I think that's a better look than looking for a goalie.
I noticed you didn't say anything about Freddie Anderson.
I don't think Freddie's going anywhere. People are like, I hear that Dubas is taking calls on him. He's not shopping him, but he is listening to what other GMs are offering them. And I feel like with any player or goalie, if people are asking, you got to listen. I think you're stupid just to hang up the phone unless it's Connor McDavid or, one of your top stars on your team, like a Tkachuk or even a Brady Tkachuk out of Ottawa. I feel like, those are kind of untouchable players that you don't really listen to. But with the fact that Anderson has 1 year left at $6+ million, I think it's actually just 6 even. You got to see what's out there. And yeah, if you're not listening to it, you're not doing your job as a GM.
I feel like Sean was going to say something. I'm going to look something up.
I think a lot of it comes down to what they feel about Dustin Wolf.
Yeah.
And I think they're a year away from making that a real decision on him. It usually takes about a year for most goalies. Need at least a year in the AHL to be able to break into coming from junior or college, even Europe for the most part, to be able to, before you have an idea on what they're going to look like as a pro here in North America. So it's going to be, they can't really rely on him there, but I do think they think very highly of Dustin Wolf. And I don't know if that's the only thing with going forward, say like a Matt Murray. He's on the younger side, and I don't know if they would want to give up the assets for a Matt Murray and potentially block a Dustin Wolf in that aspect. I don't know what Arizona's going to be asking for Kuemper. I don't think it's going to be as big as Devin was alluding to. The goalie market is so weird. You never know what the last goalie to go for a first round pick in that was Robin Leonard, and that was just because the Buffalo GM just had an absolute love fest for him and really wanted to bring him in. So I don't know if the price to get Kuemper is going to be really that big, especially when Arizona is going to be looking to cut costs significantly. So it'd be interesting. I think that's your best option. He's 30 years old. He's at $4.5 million for 2 years. At the end of that contract, you're going to have a good idea of what Rittich and what Dustin Wolf and even Artem Zagadulin look like at that point. So I think Kuemper really is your best option. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in Calgary, honestly. And I won't be surprised if it's for what many people would think would be an underwhelming price.
You're looking at just for fun. There's the goalies in the draft. Askarov from Petersburg is considered the best goalie and is quite likely the one that will be going in the first round.
You might go top 10.
Top 10, yeah, but he's going to be pretty high. Nicholas Dawes was passed over in 2019. He's another one. Drew Comesco, Samuel Lavich from Sherbrooke, Jan Bednar, Joel Blomqvist. So I guess that's also going to depend if you're taking a goalie in your top two. I mean, which you could do. Yeah, I mean, I could see the thing I like about Kuemper is he's been on not a great team, and he's been able to kind of stand on his head and keep his team in there. And I do think for the Flames, I think in some ways they need that. But on the other hand here, I really do think the Flames need to bring back Cam Talbot at the very least. I think he did bring some stability. I thought he just brought a different energy to this team in terms of, like, sometimes he takes too much of the blame, but at least he was willing to take some blame. Cough, cough, Mike Smith. But I possibly would look at seeing what you could get in a David Rittich trade, which could not be as much as I think.
You mentioned how you think the Flames need a goalie who can stand on his head and be good when busy. I agree. I think that's I really, at some point here, we'll have to reconnect with Kevin Woodley and discuss that further. One of the big things that's been on my mind for a couple of years in terms of goalies is matching up goalie styles and how a goalie plays, being busy versus not being busy, facing high danger shots versus facing low danger shots type deal, and being able to find the right match with that and the goalie coach.
Yeah.
Again, this is why I think that I agree. I think Markstrom would be a fantastic pickup for the Flames if he reaches the UFA market and they can sign him, because exactly that. He's proven with Vancouver that he's good. He's able to play strong strongly when peppered with shots and peppered with high danger shots. So I do think, and he doesn't, and the difference between him and Rittich, because Rittich does that well as well, but he then has mental lapses where he gives up bad low danger shot goals. Markstrom's gotten rid of that. So I do. It's going to be interesting. I would love to reconnect with Kevin Woodley and discuss kind of that aspect of things with both the Canucks and the Flames and even the Leafs, because Freddie Anderson is that situation is interesting to. It's going to be interesting to watch going forward for this offseason and into next season.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as the Flames go, though, it really depends also on what happens with Johnny Gaudreau and Sean Manahan, or what kind of shakeup they're going to do. Because say, for instance, if they get some good pieces back for those players or one of those players, and you could potentially have to take a step back and let those pieces develop, then that gives you a little bit more time to have another 1A, 1B, and not blow your brains out with getting a big goaltender because of Zagadula and because of Dustin Wolf coming up. They have potential, and they've shown that they're able to stop the puck at a high level AHL. And I'd say Dustin Wolf has a higher ceiling as of right now, but with goalies, you never know how they're going to develop, because Parsons was supposed to be that. Gillies was supposed to be that. And Gillies, we're going to let him walk this year. I'd be very surprised if we have him back because of the goalie backlog that we have in the system. So I think that has to be a thought process too, is if we do get rid of some of our key players, what do we get back, and where do we see the team going forward?
Just quickly on the Goodrow front, I guess I'm going to throw. I have two names here. Would you combine a trade of Goodrow for an Oliver Ekman-Larsson?
Yes. Yes, and I don't know. That's a good question. God, I think that it'd be decent. It'd be a decent trade for sure. The only thing though is I don't want Oliver Ekman-Larsson on the back of his years at what is he at, 7 million, 8 million,
8.25 million,
8.25. That seems like for the next 3 to 4 years. That sounds good, but then you're in the same position that you are with Gio as of right now, and potentially with him falling off a cliff. So yes, Oliver Ekman-Larsson has been an elite defenseman and has shown that he can solidify your top four. But having another long-term contract like that at that cap hit can be detrimental to a team.
Yeah, I don't want to entertain that. I don't think.
Okay, I'm going to throw one more name into this. He played in Calgary before. He's definitely going to be. If I'm him, I don't want to go back to Boston. Would Tuukka Rask be an option for you in Calgary? Would you be interested?
Tuukka Rask, he was in Calgary?
He played with the Hitmen, didn't he?
No, you're thinking Victor Rask.
Oh,
yeah, Victor Rask. Yeah,
his brother did. But seriously, on that same level, it doesn't matter if he did or not. Okay, not my apologies for the mistake. Would Tuukka Rask be an option for you?
Absolutely, at the right price point for sure.
Would you throw Goodrow in a trade for that?
I would want more than just a 1-for-1 for sure. Because Tuukka's, what is he? He's 33, 32.
No, he's older.
Yeah, and
Bruins need to get younger, absolutely. So I do think that there would be interest in Goodrow if I'm Boston, a little bit of interest.
True.
It'd be a really much bigger deal.
Yeah. I agree.
But as kind of a main piece, I could see it happening. It just has to be, Boston would have to once again Tyler sweetener or put a sweetener in that deal.
I was trying to find a sound effect for the word sweetener, but I couldn't find one. So.
Again, the goalie market is so freaking weird. I don't think, having Goodrow as a main piece is you're gonna get Rask and plus. in return for him if you're going to Boston.
Maybe even like a Charlie McAvoy, because
Look at Heidi smiled there.
yeah,
I
totally.
like Charlie McAvoy, so if we could throw that in, that would
that's
be amazing.
insane. That's insane. Then the Flames are adding. McAvoy has a lot more value than Johnny Goodrow.
Well, for sure. I'm just saying, like, if Calgary is gonna give up a potential 100-point player every single year, or a 90-point player, you're gonna have to give up something significant.
Yeah.
It's what it's gonna be. Maybe not for a Rask, but this trade that is potentially coming for Johnny Gaudreau, that is, talk about a make or break for Brad Treliving, and I feel like he will do the due diligence and he will do a good job with it. I think it's more of his RFA or UFA signings that he has a hard time with. But as far as trades go, I feel like he'll have a good market for this.
I would argue, as much as people are saying that this is Benning's most important offseason, in a lot of ways this is Tree's, because if you're going to make the Goodrow trade, you've got to make it work.
Yep. Absolutely.
We'll get to Chris's new adventure on that sign there, but is there anything else in terms of hockey stuff that we want to talk about? Have you been following the other games as closely, or did you just kind of do that decompressed thing? It's like, I can't really watch hockey now because my team isn't in it.
I've just been enjoying seeing players reunite with their dogs, to be honest. That's been my favorite. That's been like my favorite thing to see through all of this. Because as I said, we were away for a week. We didn't watch a ton of hockey. We would turn it on every once in a while and watch like a period or something, check the score or whatever. But I haven't been paying too much attention. But yeah, I've just been enjoying seeing all the videos of players reuniting with their dogs.
Kind of a similar regard for me. Not so much the dog reunions, but more so just like not watching full games, maybe just tuning in for a period, seeing what the score is, that sort of stuff. Definitely keep tabs on what's going on with the rest of the playoffs, but not super, I guess, committed at this point.
Yeah, same here. Just watching every once in a while, getting back into it now, I think. But being away on vacation a little bit, it was nice. To take a little bit of break from watching it all the time and kind of decompress a little bit. But coming back now, and I'll probably be watching a little bit more. Not as religiously, but definitely a little bit more coming back now.
Stanley Cup final, probably for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't watched anything, honestly. I've been enjoying the weather in Calgary. Yesterday was 26, and it looks like it's kind of getting more into fall. I was swimming in the Bow River, so it's I've just been enjoying the last little bit of summer, then worrying about hockey. And like Chris said, once the finals hit, that's when I'll start watching again. But as of right now, I've taken a good break, and it feels good.
Yeah, I've been watching bits and pieces too, but going back in school and getting myself oral organized for that has been more my priority. So, although I did watch more Raptors last night than, is that a wrong thing to say on hockey podcast? But I did watch.
I've been keeping up with it, and every once in a while putting Raptors game.
Sacrilegious, guys. Come on.
I watched the last 5 minutes of last night's game.
My question is, did Devin have any PTSD after watching another Toronto team lose to a Boston team in Game 7?
I was shouldn't even for
I'm not a basketball fan, Sean. So thankfully I didn't have that. Thank you for bringing up another sore point. There's been a podcast, and God, if you were here, if you were in the same vicinity as me right now.
How does that shiv feel in your side there, Devin?
Yeah, enough on that.
Chris, what's on your sign there?
Okay, so I knew you were going to probably bring it up as soon as I put it on the wall. By no means is this scientific. In fact, it's not even the exact lineup I want or expect. It's what I could make work with the letters I had. So
is that Sidney Crosby on your top line?
Oh. Yeah.
So for those who can't see us, he has Bose, PD, JT Mill, Toffoli, Bo.
Pearson.
Oh, that's Besser. Bose, Besser. Okay, Pearson on his second line, Ruse, God, Vert, Mac, Beegs, and Mott. And then on the defense, you have Hughes, Dad. I like that. As in Tanev, Edler, Stetch, Myers, Oli, and then Markey on your backstop.
So yeah, definitely not scientific. Definitely not even the ones that I expect or want. But I made it work.
There we go. Adventure there. I was looking for another sound effect there for those that are wondering. Let's leave it there. We'll next week when we're back on, we'll talk more Stanley Cup final stuff because we'll know who's in the Stanley Cup at that point in time. But we'll talk more Flames, more Canucks. How do we follow everybody?
I am Bearded Canuck 03 on Twitter.
I am at Heidi Balls all over the internet.
I am at Schneids on most social media.
I am on Twitter at Gordhouse09.
And Tyler as TNOBLE. I am at KEVOLE, podcast_hockey. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and of course, subscribe on iTunes, Google, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. And thanks everyone again for watching, and we will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now. That's done. Okay, now to the live stream on the YouTube. More stop live stream.